Good afternoon. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Lieutenant Kurt Thomas, K-U-R-T-T-H-O-M-A-S, and I'm a lieutenant in the Organized Crime Division of the Police Department. I'm joined at the podium by Commander David Mahoney, who is the patrol commander for the Downtown Area Command. At approximately the end of August 2016, Austin-Travis County EMS and the Austin Fire Department responded to numerous calls of individuals who became violently ill through consumption of the synthetic drug commonly known as K2. In September, the Travis County Medical Examiner released an autopsy report regarding the death of Larry Lane Truitt, who died in June. The report listed K2 as the chief cause of his death. This death and the vast majority of the K2 related EMS calls were in close proximity to the Austin Resource Center for the Homeless, or the ARCH. Since August, members of the Austin Police Department Downtown Area Command Patrol Division, the Downtown Area Command Metro Tactical Unit, the Organized Crime Division, the APD Forensics Chemistry Lab, and the Austin office of the DEA have been working together to identify dealers of K2 and attempt to locate the sources of supply of K2 in the Austin area. During this investigation on September 28th of this year, Charles Hurd and Juanita Price were arrested on charges of delivery of a controlled substance related to K2. They were found to be in possession of 400 bags of K2 at the time of their arrest. This amount was approximately 4,000 grams of the substance. The United States Attorney's Office for the Western District of Texas has accepted Charles Hurd's and Juanita Price's case for federal prosecution. The police department intends to seek federal indictments for possession with the intent to distribute and conspiracy to commit a narcotics crime under the federal code related to that specific investigation. Yesterday, the Austin Police Department conducted a warrant roundup operation to arrest 42 individuals charged with possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute, related to distributing K2. As of today, 24 of those 42 individuals have been arrested and are in custody. Efforts remain ongoing to locate and arrest those 18 individuals who remain outstanding. Our ongoing investigation thus far has linked several of these charged individuals to both Charles Hurd and Juanita Price. We believe both Charles and Juanita were a significant source of the supply of K2 to many of these charged individuals who would then sell it around the ARCH. Our investigation is ongoing and we intend to seek additional federal indictments on some of these charged individuals in this most recent roundup. The Austin Police Department records show that these charged individuals have collectively had over 234 police contacts in the past 12 months. Some of these contacts include previous arrests or involvements in the following types of incidents: aggravated assault, robbery, injury to a child, retaliation, terroristic threat, burglary of a habitation, deadly conduct, among others. I will say that this operation, this was a collective effort amongst our many working partners. I'd like to thank Commander Mahoney and his personnel in the DTAC command, specifically his Metro Tactical Unit, and the many participating patrol officers of his command who have assisted in this effort over the last several weeks. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to our federal partners at the Austin office of the DEA, and specifically I'd like to thank DEA Group Supervisor Gina Giachetti for her group's participation in yesterday's operation. I want to extend a tremendous amount of gratitude to the personnel of our own APD's drug lab for putting aside several dedicated man hours to the very time-intensive duty of the lab analysis that was required to bring these charges to bear. It should be noted that our department continues to investigate K2 distribution within our local jurisdiction. We currently have an additional dozen cases we are currently working on, in which the analysis on those cases is pending. These dozen cases involve felony offenses as well, and more warrants will be issued once the analysis of those cases has been completed. Following this operation, we are hopeful that these arrests will impact the overall issue we have experienced with K2 in the local downtown area. One, by reducing and limiting the number of dealers in this area, and with that reduction in the number of dealers, we are hopeful that we have disrupted the supply of this very poison that is being pushed upon a very vulnerable segment of our community. Our efforts will continue, and in the coming days and weeks, we will move forward in investigating these offenses and holding those who are participating in this criminal conduct responsible for their actions. And with that being said, I'll open it up to a few questions.
So these suspects, Charles and Juanita, do they live in Austin or do they live in a different city?
They live in the Austin area.
Do you know where they were getting the K2 from?
We believe the significant source of their supply was coming from the Houston area.
Are there any potential charges against those two in relation to the death from K2?
No, sir. I've looked at their report, and at this time there are no affirmative links to a particular suspect related to that death I mentioned.
You're saying that this couple was the predominant source of K2 for the other dealers that were distributing around the arch?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What makes this a federal crime exactly?
Well, it's a federal. There are federal drug crimes and there are state drug crimes. K2 is illegal on the federal books as well as it is on the state. Due to significant amounts related to that specific case, the U.S. Attorney's Office has agreed to accept the case for prosecution under federal law.
This was a big operation. Would you say that K2 I know you deal with countless other very dangerous drugs that are on these streets, but is K2 kind of the focus right now? Is that something that's overwhelmed you guys a little bit?
Well, it has overwhelmed not only our department in the last couple of years, because we've had more than one outbreak over the last couple of years, and when we see a significant number of persons affected by this and in an overdose type event where several folks are having medical crises that they're experiencing, it's not only taxing on the officers who have to respond from our department, but it's very taxing on the emergency medical services that have to come. It's taxing to our local emergency rooms and their ability to staff and address these issues with significant number of patients coming into the hospital. So it's our focus right now because, one, up until recently, it was a new issue that we were having difficulty on our side of the house prosecuting, because we had to look at the law, and we had issues with our ability to test the substances proficiently. And we're starting to overcome those hurdles at this time, and so we've found ourselves at a point where we can hold people accountable for their actions regarding this criminal conduct. And when you have the kind of taxing impact on the community as a whole, then we have to step up and address the issue the best we can.
Was this due to a potentially high dosage or just a pure amount of K2 on the street that makes this latest outbreak so dangerous?
Well, it's always going to be dangerous because very plainly this is poison. There's no K2 out there that's good or good for you or that has medicinal purposes.
No, but just in the sense that you can have a higher dose of something. Sometimes you'll hear officers say this was a particularly high dose or a spike dose of something where it's more dangerous than normal or more of a risk to the user than normal. Was that the case here that did lead to this kind of outbreak that we did see?
It could have been a more dangerous strain.
The strain that, yeah.
Sure, I'm not a chemist, but when it starts affecting the community where you're having people fall out all over the place, and the impact that has on our resources, then we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it as swiftly as we can, and hold as many people responsible that are engaging in the conduct that we can.
Yeah. I'm sorry. These people who were passing out, I mean, so I understand there's been one death. Have there been any other major long-term consequences people have faced after consuming this K2? Did they basically go to the ER, get checked out, and were released a few hours later? Were there any people who suffered extremely negative effects besides obviously the death?
Not that I'm aware of for me to be able to speak to a specific case, but just as a layman and someone who's not a medical professional, these are dangerous chemicals that people are ingesting into their body, and from my standpoint or my own opinion, they have to be causing people physical harm.
Last question.
How important was the real-time crime center in, dealing with and making these arrests? I know that after talking with them, they've said, that the Arch area there is one of the places they see and get the most number of kind of calls on because of some of the activity that goes on around there. Did you guys utilize that resource in this kind of operation?
We did use the real-time crime center throughout the course of the operation, and it was the cameras and the equipment we have available to us there are very beneficial in investigations such as these, because it gives us the evidence that we need to secure the prosecution throughout the entire criminal justice system. So the tools there are very valuable. I don't want to get into specific tactics on how we utilize the equipment there throughout our operations, but they're beneficial for us to make these arrests, and it will prove to be beneficial throughout the prosecution of these cases.
How far does the disruption go? I know the folks in Houston, are they disabled yet as far as you know?
There are ongoing investigations that are in which conversations and the co-working between ourselves and our local and federal partners in the Houston area, those investigative efforts are continuing, and we expect that we're going to see more results and seizures out of those efforts, but I'm not going to go into particular details of what exactly is being done right now.
Thank y'all.